And to connect with our viewers, we have to move to the places where we have limited access of internet. But what I can tell you that there is a call by the New Delhi Traders Association to close down all the shops, all the offices, all the eateries, hundreds of them that are in the close vicinity of Connaught Place. And we've seen how stone pelting happened, how the vandalism continued in last two nights, especially yesterday night when suddenly a mob protest was launched in that area. And we also saw multiple policemen were injured in this protest. So today, as a precaution, the Traders Association themselves have called for a shutdown, and at 6:30 the shutters are going down. And this has also been seriously by the traders, by the association, and also the security force who've been there actively since the whole day today, even before that. But sincerely, seriously, the security deployments today have been beefed up in that area. The internet closure remains. There's no internet in this CP area. In the central Delhi area, also the internet remains shut down. Very limited access of internet is happening at some places, and the Traders Association says that it is a serious situation. So, as a precaution, they need to be closed because there can be harm to civil property, to the people who have been running their shops, because it is a busy place. There are hundreds of people who come to these areas. So this is a call by the New Delhi Traders Association.
So I must highlight here that this is also a precautionary step. It doesn't mean that there's going to be some sort of violence that's going to break out to the heart of the national capital. Absolutely not. To the heart of Delhi, internet has been cut off. Again, it's a precautionary measure taken by the authorities. This morning, many stations were also shut. So there is quite a great deal of inconvenience for commuters, a great deal of inconvenience for Delhiites, but all of it being done as a precautionary security measure as well. Thanks, Shivani, for joining us with those details. More breaking news coming in. With the stalemate continuing between the government and the CJP, the Cockroach Janata Party has now announced a nationwide protest tomorrow. After the government extended an olive branch, said let's have another round of talks, the CJP said they want a neutral venue, rejected the government's offer of talks at Nadda's residence or his office. And so what that's meant is essentially that there has been no breakthrough in the dialogue process. The CJP has now put out a very public call asking for student unions to gather across the country for a peaceful protest. And they've now pushed this beyond just Delhi. They're putting the spotlight on the entire country, saying let's hold a day-long nationwide march right now. I'll also give you a sense of really what the government's outreach has looked like. Once again, Union Minister Jitendra Singh has issued an appeal to the CJP. Take a look at that.
Through the media, it is my humble appeal to the students on agitation that the government is ready for talks whenever you want, at whichever hour of the day, and for as much length of time that you wish to. We are ready to discuss the issue on which the agitation has happened and all the other related issues as well, with an open mind, and the talks can be held at the residence of Shri Nadda, because the talks will be led by the Health Minister of India, the senior leader Shri Nadda ji, and of course I will be accompanying him. The talks could be held at Shri Nadda ji's residence or at an office, whichever of the two you wish to, because you appreciate as much as I do that without talks, without dialogue, we cannot find a solution, and without a solution we would not be able to lay down the further roadmap. And I also wish to share with the viewers that since last afternoon, since yesterday afternoon, in the last 24 hours, there have been as many as four offers made to the student representatives for a dialogue. We are still waiting for the response. We do not stand on prestige. We never stand on prestige. Please come forward.
So that was a public appeal made by Jitendra Singh, by Union Minister Jitendra Singh to the CJP, saying we are willing to hold another round of talks. The sticking point, however, is the location. But that's not the only outrage. Prime Minister Modi earlier today put out a detailed message on social media where he's spoken about paper leaks. In fact, issuing an assurance to students. What really is that? He's spoken of a crackdown on the paper leak mafia. First speaks of fast-track courts, saying we will ensure that there is speedy justice in this particular case, speedy trials that take place. That's the big headline that's emerged from the Prime Minister's assurance. He's also spoke of a faster crackdown on paper leaks, so solving the cases of identifying the paper leak villains immediately. That's a promise essentially that he's made in the detailed post that he's put out, saying that we will not compromise on the priority of our youngsters, on their future. Strictest punishment for the accused. While that hasn't been defined, he's combined that with fast-track courts to say there will be speedy trial and there will be strictest punishment meted out to those who are found accused of paper leaks. Youth welfare is our top priority, and this is a direct outreach, a direct message to so many youngsters who are currently on the streets of Delhi, who are on the streets of the country. He says, you are our priority, and there will be no mercy for anyone who betrays the youth of this country. Again, referring to those who indulge in paper leaks. That's the assurance essentially that's come in from the Prime Minister. Has it worked? How have students reacted? How have protesters chosen to react? Well, it hasn't ended this stir at all because they maintain that they still want the resignation of Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan. The opposition too is not convinced by the Prime Minister's words. Take a look at this report.
Protesters are reaching in the heart of the national capital. Parliament is paralyzed and opposition has smelled blood. Amidst the spiraling situation, Prime Minister Modi has sent a big message to the youth. Prime Minister Modi has sought to assure the protesting students. While stating that the future of the youth was a priority for him, Modi vowed that stringent punishment will be given out to all those responsible. The Prime Minister also said that fast courts are being set up to try paper leak case accused. Senior Modi ministers reassured students that the government has their best interest in mind and appealed for talks.
At the level of the Prime Minister, a response has been given. In fact, much before today's announcement of setting up fast-track courts and assuring the punishments will be handed over to those people who violated the sacredness of an exam by leaking the papers, by buying papers, by selling papers.
The government is ready for talks.
System. But today, for the first time, the Prime Minister stopped avoiding the issue anymore and stepped in. He stepped in with strong assurance to the youth, vowing to fast track the crackdown on paper leaks and also ensure stringent punishment for those found guilty. The Prime Minister has said that the welfare of the country's youth is of utmost importance and that no one who plays with the future of the students will be spared. He also called for fast-track courts to ensure that swift trials in paper leak cases and also has issued directions to the concerned authorities to expedite action. The centre says the objective is clear: to safeguard students' interests, punish the paper leak mafia and restore confidence in the education system. But this appeal by the Prime Minister, the first in 26 days that has come in since the starting of this entire protest, has not cut ice with the youth, especially not with the Cockroach Janata Party. They rejected the court proposal and called it inadequate. The CJP says that fast-track courts may speed up prosecution after the leak has already taken place, but do not address why examination papers are being compromised in the first place. Calling the announcement band-aid on a fracture, the group says that the real issue is systemic accountability and has reiterated its demand for Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan's resignation. The CJP leader Ashutosh Ramka has argued that paper leaks are not merely a legal problem but a systemic failure, alleging that examination machinery itself has failed to protect the future of millions of aspirants. So, how do things stand at the end of day 26 and at the end of 4 days of protests? on the streets of the national capital, spreading across the country now. The CJP, the youth protesters, are sticking to their 4 demands. They are demanding the resignation of Dharmendra Pradhan. That's perhaps the one thing that they're really pressing the most on. Action against police personnel accused of atrocities during the protest. That's demand number 2. Demand number 3 is withdrawal of cases against protesters. And then there is demand number 4 of 1 crore rupees of compensation for the families of NEET aspirants who allegedly died by suicide. Now, in the latest, the government is saying that they have once again reached out to the protesting students, offering talks to break the deadlock that seems to have hit. They
जो प्रोटेस्ट है वो जंतर मंतर पर पूरी तरह से शांतिपूर्वक चल रहा है और उसकी इजाजत दिल्ली पुलिस ने दी हुई है। दिल्ली पुलिस ने कई बार कहा है कि आपको प्रोटेस्ट करना है, आप जंतर मंतर पर प्रोटेस्ट कर सकते हैं, उसकी परमिशन दिल्ली पुलिस ने दी हुई है। लेकिन कोई भी दंगा करता हुआ पब्लिक प्रॉपर्टी को नुकसान पहुंचाएगा, पुलिस पार्टी पर अटैक करेगा, तो उसके खिलाफ लीगल एक्शन के साथ साथ अब उसका पासपोर्ट भी रद्द किया जाएगा।
जी, तो अरविंद, क्या किसी भी तरह की इंक्वायरी हो रही है दिल्ली पुलिस में अगेंस्ट दोज ऑफिसर्स हु हैव बीन कॉट ऑन कैमरा बीइंग अ लिटिल हाई हैंडेड? जैसे दिल्ली पुलिस अपने प्रोटेस्ट के वीडियोस शेयर करती है, वैसे सोशल मीडिया पे जो यूथ प्रोटेस्टर्स हैं वो भी अपने वीडियोस शेयर कर रहे हैं। वायलेंस दोनों तरफ से हुआ है, तो क्या उन ऑफिसर्स के अगेंस्ट भी कुछ तैयारी होगी? कुछ तो पोस्ट आ रहे हैं ऑनलाइन जो बता रहे हैं कि कुछ ऑफिसर्स का ट्रांसफर हुआ है, क्या आप ये कंफर्म कर सकते हैं?
अब देखिए, आपको बताऊं कि जो ये पूरा प्रोटेस्ट है और ये बड़े लेवल का प्रोटेस्ट था, तो पूरी दिल्ली से अलग अलग डिस्ट्रिक्ट से भी लोगों को बुलाया गया था। जिस आपने बात की है ट्रांसफर की, तो ट्रांसफर इसे नहीं कहा जाएगा। ड्यूटी लगती है, ड्यूटी चार्ट दिल्ली पुलिस हर दिन बनाती है और उसमें ये डिसाइड होता है कि किस पुलिसकर्मी को कहां पर ड्यूटी लगानी है। एक प्रोसेस। दूसरा, आपने जो पूछा कि दिल्ली पुलिस के मिसकंडक्ट के बारे में उनको लेकर जो वीडियो वायरल हो गया, जाहिर सी बात है, अगर दिल्ली पुलिस का कहना है कि कोई भी अधिकारी या कोई भी पुलिसकर्मी अगर किसी रूल को ब्रेक करता हुआ पाया जाएगा तो उसके खिलाफ भी डिपार्टमेंटल इंक्वायरी होगी। हालांकि दिल्ली पुलिस का अभी ये स्टैंड है कि वो लगातार, क्योंकि जो नई दिल्ली इलाके की बात करें तो ये आप भी जानते हैं कि सुनर कि ये बेहद संवेदनशील इलाका है। नंबर 1। नंबर 2, यहाँ पर बीएनएस का 163 लगा हुआ है, यानी 5 लोगों से ज्यादा लोग इकट्ठा नहीं हो सकते। प्रोटेस्ट की परमिशन नहीं है, नारेबाजी की परमिशन नहीं है। लेकिन जिस तरीके से 20 जुलाई को हजारों की तादाद में इतनी भारी भीड़ आई और उनको रोकने की कोशिश की और उस दौरान जो सफल हुआ, उसके बाद फिर FIR दर्ज की। हालांकि जो फर्स्ट डे जिन 70 लोगों को डिटेन किया था उनको बहुत मामूली धाराओं में अरेस्ट करके जमानत दे दी। लेकिन अब अगर कोई
Student organizations targeted both the NEET paper leak and the alleged lathi charge on protesters at Jantar Mantar. Anti-riot police was deployed. Protesters raised slogans, demanded the resignation. They again were picked up, detained by the police. Another city, same story. Let's move to Bhopal. Protesters gathered at the Neelam Park in solidarity with Jantar Mantar agitation. From NEET and recurring paper leak allegation to unemployment, vacant government posts, multiple youth grievances seem to have converged at the protest. As agitation began, there as well, again, the police got in, several were detained. In fact, I was telling you about that lady. Let's go back to that image of resistance that has come from Mumbai. India today managed to speak to the woman and understand what prompted her to do so, what's running on her mind, who is she really? Let's find out.
रिया, सबसे पहला मतलब कैसा लग रहा है? पहले तो सब लोग सुपर वुमन से लेके मतलब बहुत कुछ आपको बोल रहे हैं, क्या क्या कह रहे हैं?
मैं सुबह 5:30 बजे सोई हूँ क्योंकि उसे प्रोसेस करने में मुझे काफी वक्त लगा। मुझे खुद अंदाजा नहीं था ये मैंने क्या किया है उस वक्त, क्योंकि मेरी तो आदत है, मेरी आवाज बहुत बुलंद है मेरी थिएटर की वजह से, तो जहाँ भी गलत होता है मैं अपनी बुलंद आवाज लेकर पहुंच जाती हूँ। तो उसकी वजह से मुझे नहीं लगा था मैंने कुछ एक्स्ट्रा ऑर्डिनरी किया है। बट जब 10 बजे 9 बजे से मुझे सारे मैसेजेस आने लगे तो थोड़ा थोड़ा ऐसे हिट होने लगा कि क्या ओके ये मैंने कुछ किया है। तो 5-5:30 बजे तो मैं सोई हूँ और उसके बाद उठ के जो इट्स वेरी ओवरवेलमिंग, आई एम वेरी हम्बल्ड आल्सो एट द सेम टाइम कि बस मेरा छोटा सा हाथ है, किसी पॉलिटिकल पार्टी का नहीं है, एक सिटीजन ऑफ इंडिया का है। तो वो जो हाथ है वो जो सरकार पर इतना भारी पड़ा है कि वो हम सब रियलाइज कर रहे हैं, तो अंदर से गदगद फील हो रहा है।
तो अगर पहले मैं जानना चाहूंगी आपके बारे में, आप क्या करती हैं, मतलब एज इन इस प्रोटेस्ट में कहाँ कैसे पहुंची? क्या कभी इससे पहले भी प्रोटेस्ट किया है?
जी नहीं, अनफॉर्चुनेटली नहीं किया है, बट ये जो चिंगारी अब लगी है, जब तक ये बुझ ना जाए तब तक मैं करती रहूंगी। इंडिपेंडेंट प्रोटेस्ट, पॉलिटिकल प्रोटेस्ट नहीं, बिकॉज वहाँ हमारे पास कोई आवाज नहीं है। वहाँ हमें लीड, कुछ कोई और लीड कर रहा है, वो किस तरीके से कर रहे हैं, क्यों कर रहे हैं, वो हमें नहीं पता है। तो इसके पहले, एक ही दिन पहले मैंने किया था एक्चुअली शिवाजी पार्क में, काफी कम बच्चे थे, और उसके बारे में
आप पहुंची नहीं, 21 तारीख को भी पहुंची?
जी बिल्कुल।
क्या उस दिन वजह क्या है, क्यों आप प्रोटेस्ट में जा रहे हैं?
वजह काफी ऑब्वियस है। जो कुछ भी होता रहा है, ये नहीं कि हो रहा है, होता रहा है। हमारे मम्मी पापा के वक्त से भी सबको बोला गया था एडजस्ट करो, चुप रहो, आगे ठीक है होता है। बट अब हम जो यूथ है वो रियलाइज कर रहे हैं ये सब नहीं होता है, दिस इज नॉट नॉर्मल। जस्ट बिकॉज ये होता रहा है इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि ये नॉर्मल है। ये होता है मतलब होता है, बट ये नॉर्मल है वो गलत है। उसको नॉर्मलाइज मत करो बिहेवियर को। तो वो जो यूथ है आज, हमारी जेनजी जो है, जी फॉर जिद्दी है, जो अड़ गई है कि जो तुम गलत कर रहे हो बेटा, वो हम सब देख रहे हैं, वो पूरी दुनिया इंटरनेशनली देख रही है। मेरे पापा को और मुझे इंटरनेशनल मीडिया से कॉल आ रहा है, मेरे पेरेंट्स को, जो उनके फ्रेंड्स हैं, उनके बच्चे हैं, वहां तक ये आवाज, जो बुलंदित आवाज है, वो पहुंच चुकी है। सो बस यही जज्बा है हमारा।
तो पहले बात कर लेते हैं क्या किया था आपने। तो आप प्रोटेस्ट के लिए पहुंची थी, आपको लगा कि एक आम दिन है, प्रोटेस्ट है, कल भी गए थे? नहीं, आम दिन नहीं था
प्रोटेस्ट। देखिए ना, हम कैसे सोच में आ गए हैं कि एक आम दिन प्रोटेस्ट हो गया है।
क्योंकि प्रोटेस्ट आजकल हर रोज होते हैं,
हाँ।
हर कोई प्रोटेस्ट करता रहता है, लेकिन हाँ ये प्रोटेस्ट बहुत बड़े स्केल पे हो रहा है, देश भर में हो रहा है। तो ये एक बात जरूर है। लेकिन मैं जानना चाहूंगी तो कि आप जब आप पहुंची प्रोटेस्ट करने के लिए, आपके साथ और भी कोई था वहां पे, फिर अचानक से वो वैन के सामने कैसे पहुंची?
तो 4:30 बजे मैं कोहिनूर अपने फ्रेंड्स के लिए वेट कर रही थी। अकेले जाना काफी आइसोलेटिंग एक्सपीरियंस होता है, बट हमें पता है कि क्राउड हमारे साथ है। बट फिर भी जैसे हमने देखा है दिल्ली में जो बच्चों के साथ हुआ है, छोटी छोटी बच्चियों के साथ, 12 साल की बच्ची का साथ छोड़ दिया है। आपको किस मुंह से आप बात कर सकते हो, ट्वीट कर सकते हो। धर्मेंद्र प्रधान जी ने कल सुबह ट्वीट किया, राहुल गांधी जब आए थे, तो उन्होंने ये पूरी रिफ्लेक्ट करने की कोशिश की है। पॉलिटिकल ये सब खेलने लगे। पॉलिटिक्स को जब तक आप पॉलिटिक्स की तरह खेलोगे तब तक जनहित नहीं हो सकता। पॉलिटिक्स को आप कुछ करना है, आपको पॉलिटिक्स कर ट्रैफिक में या तो वक्त लग जाता है या पार्किंग में टाइम लग जाता है। तो फिर 20 मिनट वेस्ट हो गए थे और मैं सुन रही थी वो नारेबाजी चल रही है, और मैं अपने आप को रोक नहीं पाई। मैंने बोला मैं जा रही हूँ, जिसको आना है वो लाइव लोकेशन फॉलो करके आ जाएगा पीछे। तो जैसे ही मैं निकली, मुझे ज्यादा चलना भी नहीं पड़ा। आप आंदोलन तक जाओगे, आंदोलन आपके सामने आ जाएगा। तो मैं आगे जा ही रही थी जहाँ नारेबाजी हो रही थी, तो पुलिस की एक गाड़ी मेरे सामने थी, और आगे से लेकर पीछे तक वहां बच्चे भरे हुए थे, और बच्चे चिल्ला रहे थे अंदर से। आप इमेजिन करिए कि एक पुलिस की वैन है अंदर और बच्चे अंदर से चिल्ला रहे हैं।
पूरा स्टफ था?
पूरा स्टफ था। वो जो पुलिस थे वो सीढ़ियों पर खड़ी थी।
All right, Z for Gen Z, and she said Z for Ziddi. That's the new mantra now with what the protesters are really doing. But let me talk about another aspect of how the story unfolded, not on the streets, but in Parliament today. Now, nearly after a month, students of having protested at Jantar Mantar and demanding answers, there have been lots of statements made by politicians, but nothing like this one. I want to take you to the protest. In fact, the comment that was made by BJP MP Nishikant Dubey today, and that has made a lot of people very angry. What is he saying? He claims that some students are using paper leaks as an excuse, trying to convince their parents that they are capable but cannot compete because paper gets leaked. His argument: students cannot hide behind paper leaks and blame them for their inability to compete altogether. He says whether the goal is medical college or engineering, IS or IPS, there is only one route to success, that is education. Now on paper, when I read it out to you like this, it seems like a regular comment, but when it's made by somebody like him in the manner that he did, Look at the impact.
प्रधानमंत्री जी की मंशा स्पष्ट है। विद्यार्थियों के साथ कोई अन्याय नहीं होगा। विद्यार्थियों के साथ जिस किसी ने भी ये गलत और घटिया हरकत की है पेपर लीक की, उन सबों को ऐसी कड़ी से कड़ी सजा दिलाई जाएगी जिससे कि उनकी रूह कांप जाएगी। भविष्य में इस तरह की घटना करने में उनको 100 बार सोचना पड़ेगा। लेकिन जो ये आंदोलन हो रहा है, इसको भी एक बार समझने की आवश्यकता है। बच्चे ये ठीकरा जो है ये लीक के माध्यम से देना चाहते हैं। वो माँ बाप को ये समझाना चाहते हैं कि हम तो पढ़ने में बहुत तेज हैं, लेकिन ये लीक हो जाता है, इसीलिए हम कम्पीट नहीं कर पाते हैं। और इस कारण से वो लोगों के मन में ये निराशा का भाव नजर आता है। सभी गार्जियन को और बच्चों को ये समझने की आवश्यकता है कि जंतर मंतर आपका जगह नहीं है। आपको यदि मेडिकल कॉलेज में जाना है, आपको इंजीनियरिंग में जाना है, आपको IAS बनना है, IPS बनना है, तो आप सबों को पढ़ाई के दरवाजे पर जाना होगा।
All right, so that was Nishikant Dubey. Let me cut across to my colleague Piyush Mishra, who joins us for more on this. Piyush, very few leaders, if I have to read it from the government, have actually made a comment. Looked like the government had a strategy. Even Dharmendra Pradhan has been quiet so far. He came out with one tweet which was also against Rahul Gandhi. We've seen a very cautious approach by the government. Then how did a comment like this come out?
Well, BJP MP Nishikant Dubey is now making these comments in the capacity of a BJP leader, not as a government leader. We have now seen various leaders of the government ministers who are now coming out in open. They are now saying that why the opposition is running away from debates, ready for debate. Whenever we are asking from any union minister about the issue of resignation which is being raised by the opposition, the government leaders say, okay, we are ready to discuss, we will respond to all the queries on the floor of the House. As far as this entire comment is concerned, Nishikant Dubey is making this comment in the capacity of a BJP MP. He is now stepping on the fact that students who are getting failed, who are not able to perform, they are now, blaming the system for this. This is a very, this is a comment which can certainly ignite a lot of controversy. As of now, opposition has not reacted on this, but yes, there's a big comment coming from BJP MP Nishikant Dubey. On the other side, today we saw various union ministers like Pradhan Joshi, Shiva Singh Chauhan, Anurag Thakur also, who is former union minister, and various other top spokespersons of the government. They came out and they spoke in depth saying that we are ready for debate, but the opposition is running away from debate. Why are they not coming on the floor of the House? It remains to be seen how this entire thing is going to pan out. Why? Because at one side, opposition is now making it very, very clear that we are not going to budge till
the opposition is basically saying that resign before debate. The students are saying protests have not happened for a conversation in parliament. The protests should be given, the response in an appropriate way, not with just a discussion on the floor of the House. All right, we leave it there. Piyush, thanks so much for joining us with that story. But, I want to take you back in time to some images that have come out, and they have really taken the entire internet by storm. And who's that man on your screen? Can you guess? Can you make out? It's actually Dharmendra Pradhan. The one man, the education minister, was the education minister both times the NEET paper leak happened. And these are pictures from when? These are pictures from 1997. Where was Dharmendra Pradhan that time? He was a young APVP leader, not a union minister. And these are images where, believe it or not, when he was protesting against a paper leak back then, in 1997. To give you context, he was himself part of an agitation over an alleged examination paper leak that had happened. It was in Odisha that time. Odisha was then governed by the Congress, and the chief minister was J.B. Patnaik. An alleged question paper leak had triggered student anger, and around 1,500 protesters reportedly gathered outside the state secretariat. Pradhan is said to be one of them, at the forefront of that agitation. Today, at the forefront of an entire uprising that is taking place. What happened then? The protest was met with police action. Same, Lathi charge reports, students detained, injured, both sides as well. Dharmendra Pradhan himself, you'll see an image of him where his jaw is stitched up and he's got bandage over here. We are told back then, newspaper reports back then say that he was suffering multiple fractures. He faced multiple injuries, was beaten up badly. It was an episode that reportedly helped shape his identity as a young student leader, taking to streets demanding answers over an examination system under question. Now fast forward 29 years, the picture has reversed. He is the education minister. Paper leaks in India are still happening, but this time it's his resignation that students are asking for. The circumstances may be separated by nearly 3 decades, but this resurfaced story has created a striking political contrast from a young leader then to the education minister now, whose resignation the youth of the country seems to be united on. Okay, let me take you back to the protests for a little while. Amongst various stories that are coming out, there are narratives on this side, narratives on that side. Delhi police is releasing their own videos where their policemen have been injured. The student bodies are releasing their videos where their people have been injured and brutality has been faced. It's the nature of a protest of this scale. There will be casualties, there will be people who will get injured on both sides. But amidst all of this, there is one story that really caught everybody's eye.
कहाँ से आया ऑर्डर? ये मतलब दिल्ली से बाहर से है। आप बता सकते हैं किस शहर से? ये जानकारी हमें नहीं है। So even taking sanitary napkins, basic that would be need for the year, because we see the good number of girls, boys, all are part of this protest. From biscuit, from water, from cold drink, everything. And that's the stockpile of the food that is available here at Jantar Mantar Tolstoy Market. These are the volunteers who are collecting the food. They're even asking if someone needs food, water, anything.
The student protests, meanwhile, are now finding solidarity far beyond Jantar Mantar, with some Indian cinema's biggest stars speaking up. But as stars rally behind the demands of fair education, there is also a warning against reducing student movements to political binaries. We finally heard from stars like Salman Khan, Alia Bhatt, even Diljit Dosanjh and Kamal Hassan. Let me now put out for you and leave you with these comments that have come in from all these stars.
CJP protests are no longer just making political headlines. They're now drawing reactions from the entertainment industry as well. The CJP protests have now found an echo beyond the political sphere. As the debate over education reforms intensifies, some of Indian cinema's biggest stars are lending their voices to the students, backing their demand for a fairer and more transparent education system. Salman called paper leaks a very serious issue and praised the students for coming together to seek change. Alia said she was heartbroken yet filled with hope, applauding the courage and determination shown by the youth. Meanwhile, Kamal Hassan criticized systemic failures and urged the authorities to address the students' concerns. R. Madhavan and Vijay Sethupathi have also lent their support to the students' cause. Actor-singer Diljit Dosanjh has broken his silence on the ongoing demonstrations, sharing a strong message in support of the students. Taking to Instagram stories, Diljit called the treatment of the protesters very wrong and urged the authorities to listen to their demands. However, Diljit also admitted that speaking out could once again invite criticism. He said he expected to be labeled anti-national for supporting the students. Meanwhile, the protests were organized to coincide with the start of the monsoon session of Parliament. The demonstrators demanded nationwide education reforms and sought the resignation of Union Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan over alleged NEET irregularities. The march later witnessed clashes between protesters and security personnel near Parliament. Interestingly, Diljit is not the only celebrity backing the movement. Actress Shabana Azmi, Prakash Raj, Swara Bhaskar had visited the protest site at Jantar Mantar to express solidarity with the students. Meanwhile, several other celebrities including Ritesh Deshmukh, Janelia Deshmukh, Bhumi Pednekar, Huma Qureshi, Sonakshi Sinha, Zeenat Aman, Sonu Sood, and screenwriter Sudhapa Sikdar, among others, also voiced their support on social media. Entertainment Bureau, India Today.
All right, talking about celebrities over there, a latest voice has come in. This is Kareena Kapoor. She says, and I quote her now, "I have sat with this for a few days, but I can't sit with it any longer. The voices of so many young people asking to be heard are impossible to ignore, and they shouldn't be. We all know what education means to a child. It gives them confidence, it gives them hope, it gives families proof that tomorrow can be better than today. But education only works if children believe in it, and they stop believing the moment they suspect that honesty, hard work, and merit don't actually count." So another voice there coming in from Bollywood. This is Kareena Kapoor. Again, what I'm seeing is a trend over here is that Bollywood celebrities are speaking. They've been pressured to speak, but not making it political, keeping it on the issue of education, not asking for anybody's resignation or asking for conversations either. All right, with that, we're going to slip into a break. News and updates continue Asian system. But today, for the first time, the Prime Minister stopped sort of, avoiding the issue anymore and stepped in. He stepped in with strong assurance to the youth, vowing to fast track the crackdown on paper leaks and also ensure stringent punishment for those found guilty. The Prime Minister has said that the welfare of the country's youth is of utmost importance and that no one who plays with the future of the students will be spared. He also called for fast-track courts to ensure that swift trials in paper leak cases and also has issued directions to the concerned authorities to expedite action. The centre says the objective is clear: to safeguard students' interests, punish the paper leak mafia, and restore confidence in the education system. But this appeal by the Prime Minister, the first in 26 days that has come in since the starting of this entire protest, has not cut eyes with the youth, especially not with the Cockroach Janata Party. They rejected the court proposal and called it inadequate. The CJP says that fast-track courts may speed up prosecution after the leak has already taken place, but do not address why examination papers are being compromised in the first place. Calling the announcement band-aid on a fracture, the group says that the real issue is systemic accountability and has reiterated its demand for Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan's resignation. The CJP leader, Ashutosh Ramka, has argued that paper leaks are not merely a legal problem, but a systemic failure, sort of alleging that examination machinery itself has failed to protect the future of millions of aspirants. So, how do things stand at the end of day 26 and at the end of 4 days of protests on the streets of the national capital, spreading across the country now? The CJP, the youth protesters, are sticking to their 4 demands. They're demanding the resignation of Dharmendra Pradhan. That's perhaps the one thing that they're really pressing the most on. Action against police personnel accused of atrocities during the protest, that's demand number 2. Demand number 3 is withdrawal of cases against protesters. And then there is demand number 4 of 1 crore rupees of compensation for the families of NEET aspirants who allegedly died by suicide. Now, in the latest, the government is saying that they have once again reached out to the protesting students, offering talks to break the deadlock that seems to have hit. They also put out a statement saying that the government is ready for talks, giving the students as much time as needed, and they have reached out 4 times since morning. In fact, Jitendra